Hiya, it's Ellie. I just wanted to wish you a very happy new year, and I thought I'd quickly talk to you about your first booking appointment with the midwife. So at the moment, you can refer to any hospital in the UK that you want to go to within reasonable distance of where you live. So the idea behind this is that you get to choose your place of birth. And bearing in mind where you deliver, they will be able to go with you through the different options of whether you want to have a hospital birth or whether you want to have a home birth. But do bear in mind when you're choosing your hospital that if you want a home birth, you need to choose a hospital that you're within the catchment area for, so that they can attend to you at home when you need them. So your first appointment is a really exciting appointment. It's normally between an hour and 15 minutes, and it's with the midwife. So at some point you will get a letter prior to this, and it should say on that letter that part of that time you will need to be seen alone. So normally the first 10 minutes of an appointment are just for the woman and the midwife together, just to talk about if there's any confidential issues, or bearing in mind that the point of this appointment is to take your medical history to ascertain if there's any additional care that you need. So if you're bringing your partner along, or your mum or your children, just bear in mind that the first 10 to 15 minutes will be with the midwife on your own. And then in this appointment, as I said, they'll be going through your medical history. So that's anything that's relevant just to you. So it'll be things like diabetes, epilepsy, and don't be frightened to ask the midwife to stop and explain a condition if you're not sure. She'll also go through your family history, so that will be your the medical histories of your parents, your grandparents, and any siblings, as well as your partner, so the father of your baby, his family history as well, because half of the baby's genetic makeup is coming from dad. If you don't know, then that's quite all right to say that you don't know, and you can tell her at the next appointment. Or it might be worth having a discussion with the father of your baby prior to the appointment, just in case there's anything that either of you think might be relevant. And then she'll take you through things like previous pregnancies, if you've had any, and then make a plan of care for you in terms of your pregnancy. So given the information that you tell her, she'll decide whether you're a pregnancy that needs more input, so need to be seen by an obstetrician. So an obstetrician is a doctor that specialises in pregnancy and birth. So whether you need an obstetrician to be involved, perhaps because you've got an underlying medical condition, or whether there's other things, maybe you've had a difficult birth previously, or there's lots of different things that women experience in their adult lives, in their reproductive lives, that may affect their pregnancy and the care that they'll need. Your midwife will also go through with you different things. So she'll go through with you whether you've got an appointment for your scan, and I'll be talking about scans in another video. She'll talk about diet, she'll talk about exercise, she'll talk about foods that you should eat and foods that you should avoid, and it's also an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you want to. So you can write them down before you go, but it is a pretty packed appointment. There's also a few other things that she needs to do as well. So she'll need to take some bloods from you, and before she takes those bloods, she's going to check that she has your consent, and she is also going to explain to you what they're for. So the majority of the hospitals across the UK, and it might vary depending on what the guidelines are at your specific hospital, is that they take a group and save. So that's looking at your blood group and your type, and whether you have any antibodies in your blood. They look at what they call a full blood count. So it looks at your iron levels, and also looks at your platelets, which is your clotting factors, and also a test for sickle cell and thalassemia, which is often referred to as hemoglobinopathies or electrophoresis. And that's to have a look and see whether you carry a trait of that disorder, which is a blood disorder, which if both parents have it can mean that the child is at an increased risk of having the blood disorder. This is not something that you catch, it's not something that is contagious, it's something that you're born with, and it's something that's more common in African, Caribbean, Mediterranean families. However, given the nature of our wonderful population in the UK, we now test everybody to see whether they have that trait. They'll also test a virology screen for you as well. So they look at HIV, syphilis and hepatitis B. We no longer routinely screen for rubella. There may be additional tests that you might need, bearing in mind if you have any concerns regarding your thyroid, or if you've previously had problems with your blood pressure, there may be other tests that the midwife might offer you as well, and she will be able to explain those and decide whether they are right for you. It's also really important that you provide a urine sample, and that's because the midwife is going to be checking to see whether there's signs of protein in your urine, which can often be linked with high blood pressure and something called preeclampsia, which I will talk to you about later on in another video. She'll also look for sugar, which can be an indication of gestational diabetes, so that's diabetes that occurs during pregnancy, and she'll also look to see if there's any signs of infection, or if there's something called ketones, which is a sign that perhaps you've been quite sick and you're not eating enough, and actually your body is using your stores to be able to give you energy, and therefore shows ketones in your urine as a byproduct. It's also really important that the midwife does your blood pressure as well. So blood pressure normally should be around 120 over 80. Women who get high blood pressure in pregnancy is quite dangerous for them, but also for their babies. And that's one of the things I'll be talking about when I talk about preeclampsia. So those are the main things that you'll be discussing in your first booking appointment. It's a really exciting time. It's the beginning of your journey in the NHS as a woman who is having a baby, and I really do wish you all the best. See you soon. Bye.